Okay, so we're just getting ready to wash the screens here. Now I just want to, before we do that, I just want to show you the layout. So got my screens down here, and then notice I have all my gear for window cleaning over there, leaving most of this area clear, so that once I'm done cleaning the screens and I go on about my way washing the windows, I'll be taking my ladder, my bucket and stuff with me, but all my extra gear I'm just going to leave over in the corner so that it's out of the customer's way in case they need to pull in and out of their driveway or their garage, also so that nobody's tripping over the stuff. Also, I have my ladder here for a reason. I'm going to wash the screens, and then when I spray out the soap, I'm going to actually stack my screens here against the ladder. And the reason I'm not going to stack it against the garage door is in case the customer doesn't realize that I'm out here washing the screens. If I've stacked my screens against the door and they go to open the door, well, if you got a ton of screens, man, you're gonna have to hustle to get all those screens down before that door gets up past the screens, which probably isn't going to happen. And that's a problem, because if their car is parked on the other side, the door goes up, the screens are gonna fall in onto their car or them or whatever. So don't, even though that's a nice flat spot for screens, don't place them up against the garage door. So you want to place them against your ladder. If that runs out of room, maybe you could place it against the steps, but I would just stack them all against the ladder to begin with. And so what I do is, the ladder has 4 sides. I place each stack according to a side, and then I should be fine in terms of not mixing up the screens. So I've got my water already, I've got my washing wand, I've already mixed the soap, and I'm ready to start washing. I'm going to start from my left side here and work across all the screens. I'm just going to scrub up and down, side to side. Some people like to go in a circular motion like this. I just kind of do this. If the framing is really dirty when you're washing, you want to make sure you're getting the frame. Then you want to flip your screen over, do the same thing to the other side. That screen's done. I'm going to wash all these screens first because there's not very many here. Now if I have like 40 screens, I might do one stack, wash one stack, and then spray it out with my hose. But because I don't have that many, I'm just going to go ahead and wash them all. So make sure you keep your screens in their respective sides and stacks. So I'm going to place that to the side, wash the next screen, flip it. Okay, so I've washed all my screens. Like I said, if you have a lot of screens, you're just going to want to do one section, spray it out, do the next section, spray it out, do the next section, spray it out. But because there's not very many screens in this house, I went ahead and just washed all the screens right up front. Now I'm going to spray it out. So you should already have your hose hooked up with your spray nozzle. I got mine set to a flat setting, which I just prefer. You don't have to do flat setting, you could do shower or whatever, but I like flat setting because it kind of stretches out the water, allows you to spray it off a lot faster. Simple as that. If it's really soapy on the other side, go ahead and just spray down the frame. This screen is done. I'm just going to set it like that. Move on to the next screen. I'm going to go ahead and do that for all the screens just to demonstrate the lineup. Then I would, let's say I'm done with those screens and I'm moving on to these screens. I would then, choose a side. So I might do that. Then the next section, that side, next section over here. And then you just need to remember which section goes to which side of the house. Once you're done washing all the screens, you're going to then take them to the perspective side of the house, set them up against the wall, and they should be dry. They'll dry with the wind, with the sun, with the air, so that by the time you get to your first window, your first screen should be fairly dry and ready to go. Now, if the screens are super dirty, when you're spraying them off, you might want to still, grab a rag, wipe down the framing if it's really dirty. These aren't so bad, these look pretty good actually, so I'm not going to bother wiping down the framing. And if you can get away with that, if you don't need to do that, that's the best thing to do. It's going to save you time. Wherever you can save time in this process, once again, the faster you're going to be able to finish the house and move on to the next job. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to clean screens the second way without a hose. So you have access to water, but let's say you don't have a hose and you don't have a spray nozzle. You've either brought your own water or you've filled your bucket up over at the source of the water, but you don't have access to a hose and nozzle. You're going to go ahead and wash your screen. And now it's all soapy, so what do? You're going to knock it out. So you're going to take 2 hands on the corners, flip it over. Now most of it's knocked out. And you're going to want to take one of your wash rags. You're going to hold your screen to the side of you like this. And you're going to take your rag and do this. It doesn't have to be perfect, you're just looking to get a majority of it out. There's a few little soap spots here and here, that's just going to dry. Then you're going to take your rag, you're going to wipe down the framing. Now this screen is done. Okay, here we are at the front door, this front screen door. This window has a screen. Like I mentioned before in a previous video, I could remove this screen, but this screen's pretty tight, I can tell just by looking at it. And I don't want to have to do that if I don't have to. I'm already going to have to remove the pane of glass that's right behind this screen to clean that glass. Or if I didn't want to have to remove that pane, I would have to remove the rubber here and pull around like this after I've cleaned the screen to then clean the glass. That's a pain. I don't have to do that on this particular kind of window because this second pane actually pulls out, so that means I don't have to pull out this rubber. So I'm not going to spray this screen with the hose because it's going to put too much water on their front doorstep. So I'm just going to wash it with my washing wand, and then I'm going to wipe it down with this rag. So I'm just going to do this. And what I'm also going to want to do probably at this point is go ahead and pull the glass out now. I don't want to pull it out first because I don't want to get a bunch of water on the door and then have to wipe down the door. So I went ahead and washed it. I'm going to pull the glass out. And now I can go ahead and wipe this down. It's kind of a pain, but if I knock it, it's going to go all over the door. Then I got to wipe the door down. So I'm going to wipe this down the best I can. The rest is going to dry. I can even, do it from this side as well to kind of get this side. And that's going to get it fairly clean. Now that's done. Here we are at the sliding glass store in the downstairs. There's actually 2 on this house, 1 upstairs and 1 downstairs. And we need to talk a little bit about that as well. When you're downstairs, you have easy access to your water with your bucket. But when you go upstairs, you either have to go in the home with a bucket of water, which I don't recommend doing in case you accidentally spill that bucket of water. Or what I like to do is I actually put my ladder against the house, go up and climb over the balcony, and I take extra water with me. So I either carry that in my plastic water bottle with the flip top, or I really soak my washing wand really good and put it in my holster bucket. Make sure there's plenty, and sometimes I even put extra water into my holster bucket so that when I go up to clean the screen door, I have enough water to clean the screen, because these screens are a lot bigger than typical window screens, well, depending on the house. So when you're cleaning these, obviously you want to push the screen all the way over. You want it where you have the most room between the window and the screen. So you don't want it on this side because it's too close to the window. It's going to be a lot more effective for getting the dirt off over here because it gives the room, gives you room for when you wash it and then spray it or knock it out, that all that dirty water can then go against the glass and not be right up against the screen here. If you do it here, it's actually, this screen's gonna like suck to the glass and it's gonna be kind of stuck to the glass and it ain't gonna be good. So if you can, this is ideal. You want to push all the way over. Let me grab my bucket here. Now I recommend if they have carpets, doormats I mean, you want to go ahead and move those out of the way so they're not getting sopping wet. Worst thing is, you get that sopping wet, then the customer doesn't know, they come out, they step on it. It just, it's just a courtesy, right? Helps them. Just gonna start at the top, work my way down. Now with the sliding glass door screen, you're not going to do both sides. You're just going to do the outside. You're not going to somehow, go inside, open the door, and scrub the other side. You're not going to do that. You're just going to scrub just this side of the screen. I can see that the framing is a little dirty, so you might want to wash that down as well. The customer will appreciate it. It only takes you 1 extra second to do that. But if it doesn't look dirty, then don't worry about it. Just focus on the screen area. Now, of course, the easiest method is to use the hose and nozzle, which I'll get. Hold on. So there is a hose and nozzle back here. I wouldn't lug around my own hose and nozzle just to do 1 or 2 screen doors. Maybe if they had a ton of screen doors in the back, then it might be worth your while. But if it's just 1 or 2 screen doors, don't lug around your hose and your nozzle, having to unscrew it, bring it back here, screw it in, unscrew it out the end, only to have to take it back up front. That's a lot of wasted time and effort and energy. So if they have one, great, use it. Now here's a very important note. You need to make sure when you do this that the sliding glass door is all the way closed. If it's not, you're going to get water inside their house when you do this process. So always make sure that that door is closed before you start this process. I should have did that, but I just now remembered. Always remember, always do that. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with an unhappy customer when you're washing the window and then spraying it out and it's going inside. Okay, so that's the first method. You don't even need to knock this out. You can if you want, if you feel the need, you think it's too wet. You can knock it out. But I think typically when you pull that back across, you're not going to have a problem. It will dry out with the air. Once again, with the screen door, with the sliding glass screen door, you're not going to come back here and do this right after you finish the screens that you've pulled from the house. You're going to do this when you're making your way around the house, cleaning windows. By the time, and then when you get to the sliding glass door, then you're going to clean the screen. So then my next step after cleaning this screen is I would then go ahead and start washing the window, because now after that I'm moving on to the next window and popping the screen in. So don't wash all the screens first and then come back here and do that. That's not the best use of your time, having to walk all the way around the house to do that and then walk back. Let me show you the second method for knocking this out. It's the same as before. Wash the screen. But let's say they don't have a nose, a hose and a nozzle. If they don't have that, then you're back to the rag technique. So it's important that you're as close to this screen. You don't want to be straight on hitting it like this. You want to be at an angle from the side. You're going to start at the top. This is a very messy process. You will get wet. If you have a white shirt on like me, this isn't a good color for your uniform. I simply chose this color for this course. But you're gonna get all dirty here. If the screens are really dirty and you gotta do a lot of this, or like let's say you had to do it out front for all the house screens, your shoulder, whatever side you're swinging with, it's gonna be down your back and across your shoulder. That shirt's gonna be all jacked up. So that's why I typically choose like a gray color shirt or something that's gonna help hide that dirt better, especially over time, because you don't have to buy new shirts like every time you clean a house, right? So just so you know, you will get wet, you will be messy. Knock it all the way out. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you got a little bit of stuff like this, you know, you can wipe it or whatever. It's gonna dry. You just want to get the majority of it out so that when you slide your screen back across, it doesn't stick to this inside, this closer pane, okay? Then you would proceed to wash this window first, slide it, and then wipe the track, and of course detail it. And then you'd slide it back across, and then do this window last. And that's what you would do there.